I understand that we're in the middle of summer and it's beautiful out and everybody wants to go outside and barbecue, but there are two huge shocks to the system. Effectively, Liberation Day 2.0. The tariff rates that the president has promised on August 1st are almost exact replicas of what he rolled out on April 2nd. And Scott Bessent is saying right now, we're either going to need a longer off-ramp because we won't have deals, so we'll keep this business uncertainty hanging, or we're going to put these tariffs on. And Lutnick is saying the same, and the president is saying the same. So this monster shock, plus also this looming and sort of existential threat of firing Jay Powell, which is two huge things that don't meet the moment. We need it to be like October right now.
So on the Jay Powell situation, what's the conversation you're having with your clients? Is this still something we need to talk about?
This is the only thing to talk about. I'm sure you guys are going to the same sort of lunches and dinners and whatever that I am. And it's been going on since before Trump was elected. This has been a permanent sort of core ending discussion of whatever it is you're talking about. You could be talking about earnings. You're going to shift to the Federal Reserve interest rates. And you're going to shift to, will Jay Powell fight back? This stuff that I got over the weekend after I published a note on my forecast for what's happening with Jay Powell was running the gamut of, do we all turn to crypto, to do they try to appoint a Fed chair during a Senate recess? And I guess my qualifications are most to talk about that. The Senate is not going to go on recess the way that it would be defined to have Trump appoint a new Fed chair. They're going to go on break. They're going to go on vacation. They're not going to go on recess that way.
Can we do some inside baseball? Is that okay, Paul?
Sure.
A little taxing. Axios writes it up today. I think Mike Allen's on sabbatical or something.
Okay.
He's taking one day off. Henrietta, Axios writes up today, the president is completely focused on the midterm GOP effort of 2026, and it comes down to redistricting Texas. Help us here with the power anybody has to carve up these big states to do gerrymandering. I mean, is it really valid, or do the courts just step in at some point?
It is actually extremely valid. And Governor Abbott is the one who opened Pandora's box on that one. There's as many as 5 seats in Texas that Trump is trying to make more concretely Republican. And that, risks eating into some of the deep red districts and potentially putting those guys at risk. But this is happening now on both sides of the aisle. Democrats are turning around and looking at it in New Jersey, Maryland, California, and other states. I would shift and focus on this president's inordinate amount of concentration on an election that's over a year away, that he's not even up for in his second term. I've been trying to reach a corollary for any other administration. Of course, the rank and file members support this, and it's what keeps them in line for Trump. But it's unprecedented to have a president that focused on keeping the minority party out. And you have to wonder, is it because they would have subpoena power? Does he not want to do the impeachment thing again? All good, valid reasons, but it is an inordinate focus by Trump.
Is it the belief in Washington, D.C. that President Trump is, in fact, a lame duck president?
No, and I think, that's what the whole I'm going to run for a third term thing is all about. They don't have an heir apparent yet. I think if you ask for a really short list, they'd say Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. But Trump is not going to allow for that discussion to happen because it makes him a lame duck. It makes him less powerful and means that they need to start looking elsewhere, a shadow president, if you will. And that's not something that the administration wants. And he's a fundraising juggernaut, so it doesn't really serve the interest of the broader Republican Party.